Techqueria podcast is an original news, conversation, and stories podcast focused on the Latinx community and tech. We aim to tell the true stories of a group of people who are underrepresented in the most influential industry in the world and are overdue for attention. We'll get inside the lives of veteran programmers and first-generation engineers, as well as everyone in between, from marketers to bankers to communications professionals, all working hard to make our mark. Did you know that 11% of podcast listeners are Hispanic or Latino, the majority of them women and growing every year? It's true. But only a fraction of that number are produced by top podcast publishers, and even fewer of them tell important stories of their community by their community. That's why we're telling important stories no one else is covering in depth. Stories such as how Latinx in tech are experiencing economic displacement in their own community.
The people that grew up here and have a love for this area and they're being forced to move out because they can no longer afford their rent.
How current immigration policies are keeping talented people away from realizing their dreams in Silicon Valley.
There's a heaviness, but there's just this incredible resiliency because they've already been through so much and they've already made this journey.
How understanding and accessing mental health is growing in importance.
And even on the daily, with everything that happens in the news, sometimes you have to ask yourself, am I able to take on the emotional and mental bandwidth of today?
How older generations are collaborating with younger ones to help create new systems for success.
When you are at the intersection of oppressed identities, it often feels like pieces of you are under attack.
And how executives are using their increased economic and cultural power to affect change.
I always wanted to give back, and I wanted to make sure that if I created a scholarship, that I helped identify those students who had potential.
We'll do all this with humor, a journalistic focus, and a dogged vision of the industry's future that is a bit more colorful and, yes, a lot more Latinx than it is currently. And that means a more accurate and expansive understanding of Latinx communities, including Afro Latinx, Asian Latinx, and Indigenous Latinx. Y sí, también vamos a hablar español muchísimo. We hope you join us and maybe even become a part of our stories. We'll see you at the Techqueria.